Welcome back to Cine K. Today's film is a gripping Korean psychological thriller from 2017, a haunting story about trauma, memory, and a mysterious puppet master pulling the strings behind a series of violent crimes. The movie titled Marionette. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the recap. The story revolves around a 17-year-old girl named Mina. A high school girl who loves fashion and being pretty always. Like everyone who is in this age, all they want is to have a love life. Until Mina started dating a guy that she only knew from an online dating app. They only spent 3 days chatting and became lovers, then decided to meet up. Mina's boyfriend is handsome and attractive. He is also good at singing that captivated Mina's heart. He is a prince charming in Mina's eyes. As they shared a moment that will last till the end. They felt comfortable with each other and blossomed their love inside the KTV room. As their connection gets deeper, they enjoy their first intimate moment. After that, Mina calls her mother to inform that she will be going to her friend's house. Without hesitation, her mother agreed, giving her freedom because she knows that age just wants to enjoy life. Then Mina meets up with her boyfriend. His smile that shows full of love swept away Mina's heart. Unbeknownst to her, the man she saw as her Prince Charming was quietly luring her into a trap. Before long, her boyfriend offered her a drink, claiming it helped him stay alert, further strengthening Mina's trust in him. Without hesitation, she accepted it. When Mina regained consciousness, she discovered she was securely bound to a chair. Suddenly, the door swings open and her boyfriend holding a camera steps out. He walks toward Mina and aims the lens directly at her. Then, several men wearing nylon masks emerged. In that horrifying moment, Mina came to the crushing realization that her first love was actually a cold-hearted deceiver. But by that time, it was already too late because everything had been captured on camera. In the end, the heartbreaking footage was delivered to her. Mina gazed at the screen in shock, unable to believe what she was seeing. At such a young age, she endured a level of humiliation beyond anything she could have imagined. Mina is trapped in a room with a dozen men, while her first boyfriend stands by, filming the entire incident. This nightmare left a lasting scar on her soul. Yet, despite the overwhelming pain and hopelessness, she never found the courage to report it. Then her mother opened the door and saw Mina lying still. Assuming she was peacefully asleep, she gently closed the door and walked away, unaware of what had happened. But Mina was wide awake, silently crying. She couldn't find the strength to speak about the nightmare she had just endured. That sleepless night became a defining moment in her life. The light in Mina's eyes dimmed into quiet desperation and she just wanted to get away from those who had hurt her. She asked her mother if they could move somewhere else. Caught off guard, her mother asked why, but Mina stayed silent. She hesitated, unable to explain, especially when her mom shifted the question to why she was coming home so late yesterday. The truth was too heavy to share. Fear gripped her and fear that her abuser might leak the video online. As her mother kept pressing her with questions, Mina turned away and walked off, carrying the weight of it all alone. That night, on her way home from school, Mina had the eerie feeling that someone was following her. As she reached a quiet empty corner, her ex-boyfriend suddenly appeared. She dropped to her knees, tears pouring down her face as she begged, "Please, just stay away from me. I swear I won't tell anyone what happened." But instead of mercy, he threatened Mina. Mina's eyes darted around, searching desperately for help, but her ex-boyfriend accomplice stepped out from the shadows. Panic surged through her and she screamed. Then her ex-boyfriend pulled out a familiar bottle, the same one he once made her drink. He threatened Mina to leak her video online if she refused to drink it. Frozen with fear, Mina stared at the bottle. She hesitated to drink, then her ex-boyfriend grabbed her wrist and growled, "You're nothing but a toy. I am your master. You have no choice." Then he set up the camera. Powerless to fight back, Mina took the bottle and drank. Her vision faded, her body weakened, and once again, the darkness consumed her. When Mina regained consciousness, she found herself discarded on a park slide and left there like she meant nothing. After everything she had endured, the nightmare only deepened. Her cruel ex-boyfriend broke his promise. Not only did he leak the video, but he also sent it directly to Mina's mother. The moment her mother saw the footage, her world collapsed. Heartbroken and emotional, she was left paralyzed, unable to process the pain or figure out what to do next. Desperate for justice, Mina's mother turned to Detective Oh Kuk-chol, clutching his hand and pleading with him to do everything in his power to catch the perpetrators and bring them to justice. Moved by her pain, Detective Kuk-chol assured her that he would handle the case with utmost care. Before the situation spiraled further under media pressure. Soon, all the suspects were apprehended. However, Mina's story quickly became national news. Outside the police station, she was ambushed by a swarm of reporters, and the disturbing details of the case dominated the headlines and only intensified Mina's anxiety and emotional distress. From that day forward, Mina and her mother chose to leave the city behind, seeking peace and a fresh start in a quieter town and hoping that distance and time would help them heal and slowly rebuild their shattered lives. A decade later, Mina still shudders at the memories of her past. In an effort to move forward, she changed her name to Seo Rin and began a new chapter as a math teacher, leaving her old life behind. She had also found love and was preparing for marriage, believing she was finally on the path to a normal, peaceful life. But fate had something else planned. One evening, while Seo Rin was working in her office, she took a sip of coffee given by her students. Moments later, a wave of dizziness hit her, and she collapsed. The next morning, Seo Rin woke up feeling weak and disoriented. Red marks wrapped around her wrists, as if they had been bound, and her jacket was missing. A chilling wave of fear washed over her. She struggled to recall the events of the previous night and her memory was completely blurred. Suddenly, Seo Rin's phone buzzed with a message filled with cruel insults and harassment. Moments later, another message came and this time, it contained intimate photos of her. Shaken, she frantically replied, asking who was behind it, but only received mocking, taunting responses. Then, a video arrived and her fear deepened as she watched herself tied to a chair, surrounded by masked men. The sender threatened to release the video and photos unless she complied with their demands. Emotionally, Seo Rin broke down in tears because the nightmare she had worked so hard to escape was beginning all over again. From that moment on, Seo Rin lived in constant fear, terrified that her buried past might resurface and shatter the life she had rebuilt. She did everything she could to keep it hidden, especially from her boyfriend. That evening, Seo Rin had dinner with her boyfriend and his parents. Everything appeared normal, not until her phone buzzed with another message from the mysterious sender. This time, the text demanded she reveal the color of the underwear she was wearing. Panic surged through her, but she masked her fear to avoid raising any suspicion. When she ignored the message, the sender escalated and forwarded a text directly to her boyfriend's father. Believing it to be spam, the man casually read it aloud, "Would you like to see a private video of the high school teacher?" Seo Rin's heart dropped, her face instantly draining of color. She recognized it as a clear threat. She quickly excused herself and rushed to the bathroom. There, trembling, she snapped a photo of herself to comply with the sender's disturbing demand. That night, anxiety consumed her and sleep was impossible as dread crept deeper into her thoughts. Then another message came, the sender ordered her to meet them in the school's storage room, claiming they had a special gift waiting just for her. The following day, Seo Rin reluctantly followed the instructions and made her way to the school's storage room. There, waiting for her, was a bottle and its presence eerily familiar and deeply unsettling. The sight of it triggered a rush of painful memories from a decade ago. Her heart pounded, her chest tightened, and flashbacks flooded her mind. But this time, she refused to be a victim. Instead of drinking it, Seo Rin grabbed the bottle and hurled it against the wall, shattering it into pieces. She rushed to the bathroom, trying to steady her breathing, unsure of what kind of punishment would follow her defiance. Later, while she was in the middle of teaching, her phone buzzed again with another message from the mysterious sender saying, "You ignored the order." The message continued with a chilling threat that explicit photos and videos would be sent to her students if she didn't comply. A countdown began. As it ticked down, the classroom erupted in chaos. Students pulled out their phones, whispering and laughing, eager to see what the message promised to reveal. Seorin froze in terror and dropped to the floor, overwhelmed by panic. But when the countdown reaches 0, an unexpected twist stunned the room into silence. Confused murmurs spread as students stared at their screens. Seorin, trembling, picked up a phone and to her shock, the photos weren't of her, but of one of her students. As Seyoung fled from the classroom in tears, Seorin began to understand that she wasn't the only one being targeted by the mysterious blackmailer. Later, she caught up with Seyoung and urged her to report what had happened to the police. But Seyoung, reluctant to draw attention, insisted on staying quiet and enduring the pain alone. During their conversation, she revealed a crucial detail from the past year. She had fallen for Dong Jin, the class president and a well-mannered boy from a wealthy family. Trusting him completely, Seyoung once visited his home. Dong Jin tried to convince her to be in a relationship with him, but things quickly took a dark turn. While there, Seyoung stumbled upon something horrifying on his computer. She found hundreds of explicit photos and videos of different girls, including herself. The discovery shattered her, especially since she had believed he was a kind and trustworthy person. The boy she once admired was actually a predator with a disturbing obsession on secretly recording women and using his family's influence to protect himself. Fearing retaliation or false accusations if she exposed him, Seyoung kept silent and lived under his threats and manipulation. After hearing her story, Seorin began to suspect that Dong Jin could be the very same person blackmailing her. Determined to uncover the truth, she made up her mind to start watching Dong Jin closely. That night, Seorin secretly followed Dong Jin to a KTV bar, determined to uncover what he was involved in and who he was associating with. Quietly, she peeked through the door of a private room, but to her shock, a familiar face appeared. Panic surged through her, and she quickly turned to leave the bar. Before she could get far, a man dressed in black suddenly grabbed her and dragged her into a nearby dark alley. To her surprise, it was Detective Oh Kuk-chul, the same officer who had handled her case a decade ago. Seorin immediately shared her suspicions about Dong Jin. Although now retired, Kuk-chul agreed to help her once again. His support gave Seorin a renewed sense of strength and purpose. She felt empowered, ready to confront the people preying on vulnerable women. But just as things seemed to be gaining momentum, disaster struck. Seorin received a disturbing video on her phone that showed Seyoung tied up, terrified. A chilling message followed: "If you want to save her, follow my instructions." Frozen with fear and uncertainty, Seorin stared blankly ahead. Her eyes landed on a razor blade on the table, her thoughts growing darker. But instead of giving in, she took a deep breath and messaged Detective Kuk-chul for help. Then, without waiting, she drove alone to the address sent by the anonymous sender. The location turned out to be a deserted rundown factory. The moment Seorin stepped into the abandoned factory, an eerie chill ran through her body. The place was silent, but heavy with tension. She frantically searched for Seyoung, but the girl was nowhere in sight. Instead, her eyes landed on something disturbingly familiar, a bottle of that same drink. Sitting on a table as if it had been placed there just for her. Dread filled her chest as she realized she had no choice. For Seyoung's sake, she forced herself to drink it. Just as she feared, her vision faded and she lost consciousness. When Seorin finally woke up, she was surrounded by masked men and women. Their faces are hidden and they stared at her with chilling intent, and among them was Dong Jin. But to her surprise, it became clear he wasn't the mastermind. He was merely another pawn, manipulated and used like the others. Suddenly, Seorin heard a familiar voice calling out for help, and it was Seyoung. Driven by instinct, Seo-rin begged the group to let the girl go. But just as her shock deepened, a masked figure stepped forward confidently. Seo-rin's breath caught as the woman removed her mask and it revealed it was Se-young herself. Seo-rin was stunned. Everything she believed was flipped upside down. It had all been an elaborate setup. Se-young was never the victim and she was one of the orchestrators. The real motive behind the operation was horrifying. The group lured victims, recorded them in compromising situations, and sold the content online for profit. Greedy, reckless, and blinded by thrill, they never stopped to think about the lives they destroyed. Still, even as Se-young appeared to be calling the leader, there is still a big boss who is pulling the strings to his marionette. Despite everything, Seo-rin still tried to reason with the group, pleading with them to stop before things spiraled even further. But instead of listening, they raised the phone, preparing to live-stream her humiliation for their own amusement. Just then, Detective Kook-chul burst in like a fearless and determined to stop the madness. However, the group quickly overpowered him. They forced him to kneel his knees, stripped of dignity and strength. But Kook-chul wasn't one to act without a plan because before stepping into danger, he had already alerted the police. As sirens wailed in the distance, panic swept through the group. They scattered and fled. Meanwhile, Seo-rin, using the razor blade she had cleverly hidden earlier, cut the ropes binding her wrists and broke free. She ran after Se-young, and the two ended up wrestling on the ground. After a fierce struggle, Seo-rin finally overpowered her. One by one, the rest of the group was captured. But the true mastermind still hadn't been found. Then, Seo-rin's phone buzzed with a new message from the mysterious sender. Using the location data, the police tracked it to a specific address. Seo-rin and Kook-chul rushed there and entered cautiously. Inside, they found a frightened young boy, trembling in fear. Seo-rin slowly approached, trying to soothe him, but he only backed away, clearly overwhelmed by fear. Kook-chul scanned the room, noticing the wall covered with framed certificates of achievement and a computer screen displaying explicit content. His eyes narrowed in realization and he pulled out his phone and dialed the mysterious number. A ringtone echoed through the room and it came from the phone in the child's hand. Both of them froze when the horrifying truth became clear that the so-called mastermind was just a 17-year-old boy. But he wasn't driven by guilt and he cried out of fear. He confessed that the operation wasn't originally his idea. It all began when his father, who had been arrested the previous month for an unrelated crime, left behind a phone filled with dark secrets. Driven by curiosity, the boy explored his father's twisted world and, unknowingly, stepped into the same darkness. He took over the role, continuing the manipulation in his own reckless way. Because of his age, the law showed leniency. Instead of a prison sentence, the boy was placed in rehabilitation, though the decision left many disheartened. In the final scene, Kook-chul handed Seo-rin a small gift box. Inside was a pair of glasses that she owned, from a decade ago. Holding it gently, Seo-rin was reminded of who she once was. Through those glasses, Kook-chul offered her a simple but powerful message that even in the darkest of times, there's always a path toward light and healing. And that's where the story ends. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also hit the notification bell to get updated on every video that we upload. Thank you and have a great day.